أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا معكم عبدالله الهنائي ومعاذ الهشامي. معاذ I have a surprise for you. I've brought to you
لكن أنا شو بتكلم إنجليزي الحلقة.
الحين الحلقة it's all transformed to English. Okay.
أنا خذيت كورس شهرين على الحلقة.
So we have a very special guest, my mentor, really my role model, ناليش كيمجي. Welcome to the podcast, Nalish.
Thank you, Abdullah. You're too kind, and thank you for the nice introduction. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
As well.
You know, Nalish, I kept you for the 20th episode. It's a very important episode. I know we've done only 20 in a year. Muad is upset. He wants me to do at least 50 in a year. I told him I'm not a Superman. I'm not Nalish. I cannot do everything at the same time.
No pressure. Huh?
So we are very lucky to get you outside of your very busy schedule, Nalish.
No.
You know, successful stories are very hard to find these days. You know, finding inspiration, finding hope is very difficult, unfortunately. Specifically with the pandemic, we've lost loved ones, we've lost businesses, we've seen many difficulties. So it's always nice to talk to you and see how can we get through this difficult times, either economically, emotionally. I know you're not an emotional guide, but we'd like to hear from you as well, because I know you're experienced in yoga.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that helped me a lot for the last 2 years, going through all these pressures of work, of family, of lockdowns, of sitting at home doing nothing. Just your mind, you cannot control it. You cannot calm it down.
How much weight did you lose?
I think I lost about 12 kilos.
12 kilos.
12 kilos in their good way, you know, not because of the stress, but because of the yoga and a lot of gym.
Muad, how much did you gain through pandemic?
20 maybe.
These are the two extremes that happen during the pandemic. You know, either you go totally healthy or you go totally become a couch potato, as they call it, and
exactly.
Watch many episodes of everything.
But the problem was that the delivery companies was working a lot that time.
That's very true.
That's food delivery was always on next to our house.
It makes that easy to gain.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, there's another delivery company which is called the hospital. You know, the maternity ward that also was going full.
True. Was a difficult times. You know, really. The last pandemic happened exactly 100 years ago. Yeah. So we are very lucky and blessed that we glided through it with least damage as possible. So Nalish, you are part of Kيمجي Ramadas group, which is very deep in our Omani history. And we are very lucky to have you to talk about the history of Kيمجي Ramadas group. But specifically, I want to know, the audience, they want to know more about you. Where did you go to school? Where did you go to college? What was your life growing up?
You know,
I know this is a generic question.
No, it's fine. It's really interesting, but because I'm what they call, I've been given life on a silver platter, as they say. The reason my mother used to tell me this is because until I was born, there was not even flights coming to Oman. And I'm one of those, I'm 50 today. I'm born 1971, just after Allah Rahma Sultan Qaboos took power. So we came from dark to the light, in terms of
literally
everything.
Yeah.
You know, no more lanterns.
Yes.
It was electricity and lots of things. So flights started coming in around the time I was born, and previously, all my siblings and my brother and my cousins and my parents and whoever, if they wanted anything, they would have to travel out of Oman, whether it's for education, whether it's for health, whether it's for anything you need. Food even, if you wanted, you have to bring it from outside. And 1971, when I was born, things were changing. Everything was like looking brighter. So this is how she says it. It's not what she means is that everything is easy. No, you got it in a much different way than they were brought up. So at that time when I was born, nobody had the history of keeping their children in Oman to study. Everybody would send their kids out maybe around age of 8 to 12, they would send them out to study. And my brother was out for 10 years before me because he's 10 years older. And I think they must be feeling very uncomfortable about sending kids at that age out. Luckily, the time was right. My father had the idea of setting up a school in Oman, the first Indian school with English as a main first language. So I was the first student in the school, and the school happened to be 2 classrooms in my father's apartment in Muscat, next to the palace.
Wow.
And 2 classrooms were donated by the Indian embassy between our house and the palace. You know, you're talking about the British embassy, our house, and the palace, and then the Indian embassy was in between, on the border of the boundary wall of the palace. So I used to run between classroom here and the other apartment classroom there, and in between was my house. So for me, every time I got the opportunity, I sneak up to the house, and my mother would be like, "What are you doing here?" He says, no, today the day is off, you know. I'm only 4 or 5 years old. I'm already lying to her, you know, but, the day is finished. We don't need to go to class anymore. And then the teacher used to come asking, "Where is your son? We're missing him." Take my ear and take me back to class. So that was the thing. So luckily, our association with Switzerland started probably in the 50s with the Swiss brands and the watches and this and that. One of the principals from Switzerland had visited some time back to Oman when I was probably about 6, 7, 8 years old, and convinced my parents. So why are you sending your children to India to study? We have amazing schools in Switzerland. Why don't you send them to Switzerland? So my brother was sent. He was 18 already, 1979 or so. He was sent
boarding school
to Switzerland. Since then, the whole family has switched. Today, the youngest one who just graduated 2021, my son, from the same school, is the 17th family member in the same school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've been sending our children from the age of 14 to the same school in Switzerland. And the reason for that is, without education, we're nobody. Without the good education. And it's not about education is only about studying and studying and studying. No. Education is all about life, experiences, and your global connect. You know, how you have maintained contacts around the world and how they can help you become a better person, a global citizen. Because today it's not about just where you live. It's about the whole environment around you. So being studying in a boarding school in Switzerland, it's not the Swiss people who send the kids to Switzerland. It's people from around the world who felt Switzerland is a safe place, and I want to send my children to a safe country to study. And you will be roommates with somebody from Japan, somebody from South America, somebody from, I don't know, Australia, somebody from Alaska. You know about how they live. You're 12, 14, you know, this age. You know how they eat, how they live, how they talk to their parents, how they talk to their siblings, you know, what education they're strong at, what are they weak at, you know, what's their strengths, what's their weaknesses. It's amazing. And now when you go to any country in the world, you never feel that I'm a tourist. I know people from here. I feel at home. It actually, when you have that confidence, you can really be able to convince people on whatever you want to talk about, which is
that
very helpful.
That exposure, you cherish it a lot. It's very precious to you.
Of course.
You've got to know people. It's a lifetime relationship now.
Yes.
You've met people from all over the world from that school. But did it give you some distance away from your family? Did it feel hard at start?
The best thing in a holiday, even today, we travel all over the world. When I ask my children when they're in boarding school and they want to come back, they're no longer, but they used to be. When it's their holiday times, and I used to ask them, so what do you want to do on the holiday? Do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? Should we go do this, do that? Like, I want to come home to Muscat, sit at home and not do anything.
Typical.
I want to watch TV. I want to call my friends. I want to go to the beach. I want to go swim. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to come home. I miss home. I miss my food. I miss my friends. That's it. So, actually Oman becomes like even more
a comfort zone.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. Actually, when you stay away from people or stay away from home or something, you miss it more.
True.
Which is great.
So you spent 12 years of your education in Switzerland,
Mm-hmm.
from first grade all the way to 12th
I
grade.
started I didn't spend 12 years in high school. I did university there as well. So I started from 9th grade. I was in Oman till 8th grade at Indian school. So I was about 12 when I left. And so I did the first I was 5 when I started school, so I cannot have done 12 years. But I did 7 years of education in Oman, 12 years in Switzerland.
What did you study in college?
So after high school, I told my father I want to become an engineer. He looks at me, he goes, your brother, he became a civil engineer. Eventually, he's working in the family business. Don't waste your time. Go study family business or study business. I'm like, okay, fine. So I studied business. I didn't have much choice. It's not like today when I tell my kids, I really want you guys to study something that you really like, so you become very good at what you do. I don't want you to study there's no peer pressure. Don't follow what your friends are doing. Don't follow what the family wants you to do. Just do whatever you want, because otherwise, if you're not good at what you like, then it's not worth it.
I can still comprehend that you have children that already graduated college. You look fantastic, really.
Thank you.
How can you have people already graduating college?
Yoga. No, we started, I was like everyone in Oman, we got married very young. I was 23.
Wow.
And 24, I already had my son. He's 26 today.
Wow.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah.
I like your social media. I always see your children. I like to follow the path that you go. You travel somewhere, you do this, you graduate. I see the family history.
Yeah.
In
No,
your,
it's important
social
for me. Unity. Family is number one. Without family and without your health, there is nothing.
True.
And it's very important. I travel a lot because I like experiences. And in the end, when you're old and trying to remember what you've done in your life, you want to remember all the best experiences.
Yeah, but I'm sure you have a lot of experiences, with going with your family and even being single.
Of course.
You haven't been single alone. So
not too long.
23, then you got married immediately.
But I was in Switzerland from the age of 12, so I had a lot of single life.
That's not considered.
You're right.
So you always had this unity of a family around you. Either it was your mother and father, or it was your wife and children. Yeah. So there was a strong community around you, people you like around you. At least that's what people always say.
The people around you should be motivational. So if the people around you are demotivating, it's time to change the people around you. This, I think, is very important.
100%.
Yeah.
So I've read the history of Kيمجي Ramadas Group, and it's very impressive. You have 150 years of history. We have 5,000 employees. You have 400 brands. This is not just locally, UAE, India, and abroad, right?
Correct.
So this is very impressive. Maybe if you are not the only one, maybe just a few who have this rich history in Oman. 150 years of continuous success. So what is Kيمجي Ramadas Group, Nalish?
So
how did it start?
Okay, 150 years is how we calculated 150 years is because the company was called Kيمجي Ramadas, and the only way we know that 150 years is because my great-great-grandfather Kيمجي Ramadas himself was born in 1870. So we don't know if we've been in Oman before that or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it may be more than that.
Yeah, it could be more than, but it wasn't called Kيمجي Ramadas before that. It has to be called Kيمجي Ramadas once he was born.
Wow.
Yeah, so how have we
How did it
start? I think if you look at history, it's always where you come from. My ancestors are 500 years ago. They were from a place called Rajasthan in India. And they were at that time part of, how they call it, Rajput, the children of the Raj, of the thing, and they were in the army in a way, armed forces or thing. And during the old Mughal battles, one of the battles they must be losing, and what happens in those days is when the battle is being lost, the elderly and the children would escape from underground tunnels. The men would die in war. The women would jump in a fire, commit suicide in a way. That was historic. I'm talking about 500, 600 years ago. So about 500 years ago, they were losing a battle. Must have been, they must have escaped from underground tunnels, our ancestors. And they got settled in Gujarat, exactly on the other side of Oman. And Gujarat, where they settled in Kutch, is very famous for shipbuilding. Okay, when you come from a landlocked country or a landlocked city where we were from, Jaisalmer, there is nothing but that city. When you come into Kutch and you see that here people are farming and they're doing trade. Since you don't own any land, what do? You have to trade.
True.
So how do you trade here? Is you have to buy a ship, sail to Africa, exchange whatever you're carrying, bring back whatever they give you in exchange, and barter. And at that time, alhamdulillah, all this was Oman. Zanzibar, Mombasa, Dar es Salaam. So the famous term is called trade winds. You know, they blow in one direction before monsoons, they blow in the other direction after monsoons. So during Kharif, before Kharif, you have to go one direction to Africa or back. And after Kharif, you can come back. So that's a very big gap between the time you start and the time you return to see your family. Okay, you're trading. So since everything was Oman, it's either from India, which is ending at Iran, because Pakistan was only 70 years ago. Before that, it was all India, and then Iran and Oman all the way down to Mombasa, maybe Madagascar. And we were basically trading between Oman and India, if you think about it. They made Muscat the base because it's halfway, less time to meet the family. And the people of Oman were very friendly, welcoming. Our ancestors used to trade and buy all the dates. All the date production of Oman, we used to sell to India. And we were bartering. So normally what happens is, in a way, we're a bank. They would say, okay, we need this much rice, this much sugar, this much clothes, this much spices, all that. We will pay you in dates. Okay, fine. But our dates will come after 9 months, 6 months in the crop. You need to pay us now. You have to pay us in advance because we need it now. So you're banking on them. You're building trust between each other. And the trust was so close that all the, in those days, the people who negotiate the price of the dates are the sheikhs of each tribe. It's not the individual farmer. It's the sheikh who decides on the price, and all the farmers sell it at that price. That's how it was. And so my ancestors, my grandfather, my great-grandfather used to trade and negotiate with them. They've built trust with each other. And not only that they built trust with each other, they trusted each other so much that they would send messages between the sultan and the sheikhs and this and that by a person who is not politically motivated, who has no political affiliations or agenda. Here he is a trader We are only here to do business. We're not here to take country or thing. We have enough issues in India with the British for 100 years. Okay, so we don't want this issue. So we started trading between the sultans, 5 generations, 6 generations of sultans today that we've been trading with, and the sheikhs, the sultans in Zanzibar, the maharajas in India.
Yes.
So we were trading between all these people. We built trust between all of these trade partners. And it used to be, even at times, they used to send political messages through us. In 1940s, World War II hit. And at that time, Said the British Navy arrived into Oman and said, we need a base, to build a base in Oman. Where can you give us some space? So he said, okay, Masira Island. At that time, they asked my grandfather, no, actually the head of the Navy went to Masira, the British Navy. They landed there, and the people of the tribes of Masira said, no, you're not allowed here. We don't want any Nasranis. You know, at that time, because they've seen what's happening in India, says, we don't believe we want any foreigners living in here. So they came back to the Sultan, Said, said, your people are not letting us land. He called up my grandfather. He goes, you know them well. Go and convince them. So he jumped onto the Navy ship, the British Navy ship, went with them back to Masira, convinced the sheikhs, saying, listen, this is great for business, for you and your tribes. You should not let them go. He says, I don't trust them. I trust you. As long as you stay, they stay. You leave, they leave. So when the British heard this, they said, that's it, deal is done. You are going to be the contractor for World War II. You build our base, you build our runway, you build our thing. You have to supply us the food, you have to supply us even the mail. You have to pay our soldiers their salary. You know, this kind of stuff, and we will coordinate with you directly.
Just because of their network, your grandfather's network.
That's it. I mean, this is trust,
yes,
right?
Of course.
It built the network by trust.
Yes.
And he built enough trust so that even the British at that time were saying, we need someone here.
Yes.
They trust you.
Of course.
The Sultan trusts you. I think we can trust you. You do it.
What was the affiliation between the Sultan and your grandfather at the time, in the 1940s?
They were very close because they used to do a lot of work together. So, for example, in Sur, the water line, that was one of our first projects. The water that was brought from the mountains to the main city, the Sur pipeline, was a joint venture by the Sultan and my grandfather. So they used to do business together. It's not just trade, not just selling him stuff, but also investing in the country in so many ways.
It became a personal relationship.
Very close, because he would bring news from what's happening around the world, from the British in India to the Sultan, and something they could trust. It was very deep.
And so you've got the first contract in Masira.
So that's how, in a way, you can say we really got financially comfortable. Before that was just, hand to mouth. This year we did well, next year we did not. We have so many loans to clear. We have this. Until the 40s, we didn't have financial, muscle. Enough to do these trades, buy a ship and go to Zanzibar and come back and this. Yeah, but to build a company and to build a network, it would see. So how it started?
So that's the time when your grandfather moved into Oman.
No, he was born in Oman, 1901.
So he was born in Oman.
My grandfather.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he didn't move. I thought you tell me he's from Gujarat and he moved to.
No, I'm talking about his grandfather.
So back in maybe 70s.
So they were
60s
trading
century.
since then.
Wow.
They made base in Oman probably in 1870, maybe earlier. We don't have the history of that. But between 1870 and 1940 it was just day-to-day business. It was not long-term planning, long-term thinking. There was no financial muscle. In the 40s, when the British made the base in Masira, is when the money was paid to make all these bases. The reason we know all these details because all the records are available in the British archives, open for public to see. So it tells you how much they paid us in rupees that time.
Yes.
How much they paid us for building the runway. How much they paid us to making a shed. How much they paid us for delivering the mail. How much they paid us for paying the salaries to their soldiers. This kind of stuff, it was all recorded. Even we didn't have it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is old history. But if you look at how did Kimji Ramadas start from trading with dates and spices and stuff from India and Africa, barter, people of Oman would ask us, okay, can you please bring us some wood? Can you bring us some sanitary ware? Can you bring us some building materials? Can you do this? Can you start bringing us some clothes? Can you start bringing us some TV or radio or thing? So we started adding products onto our trade by what people in Oman needed. And if the sultans were asking us, bring us luxury items, we would bring those. That's how we started with Rolex. In the 50s, Sultan Saeed used to tell my grandfather, go and bring me like 10 watches. I have a delegation coming from, Japan or whatever. I need to give gifts. Go get me this many watches. So he had to travel by boat to Aden. Aden at that time was the biggest financial city. And he used to go to Aden to the Rolex shop there, which was owned by Rolex Geneva.
Wow.
And
so the representative were in Aden.
Yeah.
And
the
in the
Rolex
1950s,
had its own affiliate.
Wow.
They owned the company in Aden. That's how famous Aden was. So he went there and he started picking up these watches to bring to Oman for the Sultan. And the people there are like, what are you doing? Normally people buy one in a year. You're buying 10 in one day or something like that. He goes, no, this is for the Sultan in Oman. So he says, why don't you order directly to Oman? He says, I don't know anyone directly from Rolex. So he goes, no, we are the Rolex. We will send to you directly. Why do you have to come to Aden to buy? So that's how we started adding brands, one by one, whatever the country needs. For example, Procter & Gamble, they sell Tide and Ariel and Pampers. Everybody knows the brands. It doesn't know the company. So they came to Oman in the 70s or 60s. And they were like, we would like you to distribute our detergent powder and, Pampers and this and that. My grandfather says, sorry, there is no business for you. I'm not interested. He goes, why are you saying that? He says, we don't have water. What are you going to do with Tide soap? Where am I going to put it? How are you going to clean the children if they put this pamper and with what? So they left. They looked around Oman to see if there's anybody else who could distribute for them. And eventually they came back and saying, sorry, we couldn't find anyone. We will give it to you on consignment. You keep it, sell it. If you don't sell it, we take it back. So, these kind of brands that we have are there from day one, most of them.
But an opportunity like this will pass to somebody and they won't take it. See, your grandfather and your father were risk takers.
They were.
Nevertheless, these are known brands, or they were difficult times.
At that time, they were not known.
In the 70s, 60s.
Yeah.
Who would bring in Rolex? It was just starting, I think, to becoming famous.
Rolex was not even famous till the 70s.
Yes, because I remember they did some campaign for it to promote it. Take the Rolex to Everest or cross the English Channel or promote it through their own unique methods. That one became attractive to bring these kind of brands to the local community. But taking the commitment, or even though it's a consignment, but it's a commitment nevertheless. And your grandfather and father have their words to keep. If they wanted to sell, they will sell. They have to commit. They have to do the business and get their arms up, and they need to get the work completed.
Of course. I mean, buying dates in those days was not by making a phone call. Huh? You have to go to the interior, which takes 3-4 days to reach by donkey and camel.
Yes.
Okay. Spend a few nights in the heat and sleep in the wadis, Okay, negotiate with the sheikhs on the price, finalize it, dry it, if you remember, dry it, pack it, bring it back, load it into the ships, send it to India. You know, it was a lot of hard work. And my father used to tell us that we did not have the luxury of vision because we never traveled. We did not even know, even if we had the money, we did not know how to spend it. I mean, why couldn't we think at that time to buy a truck or a caravan or, you know, those cars which were already available in the US, in Europe, and this and that? Why are we sleeping in the wadis? Why can't we just buy one of those mobile vans, you know, where we can sleep like homes, mobile homes? You know, these kind of things. It's just that there was no information. Information was not easily available. You had to work hard to get it.
It's true.
You know, this is history now. Now we're talking about the information age, and technology is something totally different.
What companies become resilient is when they know their history. See, when you go back 50 years, you'll find an economical crisis. You'll find a pandemic. There was a minor pandemic in early 70s, as I remember. There were plagues. So if you have this rich history, you become stronger, you become more resilient, you become smarter. And people who do not rely on their history, they will fail eventually. You need to have the reference. I've done this before. Okay, I've faced this problem. How many tornadoes and cyclones we hit in Oman? I'm sure you have that reference in a company profile. So in the 70s, when Sultan Qaboos ruled, how did Kيمجي Ramadas thrived even more?
So, you know, we were, in a way, because we've been there so long, you know how today, if we think about it, I have to set up an office, it's going to cost me so much, it's going to take me so many years to break even. In the olden days, they would not think really that deep, but at the same time, they knew what's important and what's not necessary. Okay, there was no luxury those days. It was just pure and simple. Is it going to be helpful to the business or not? Practicality. Yeah. And to open branches and depots in Salalah, in Sur, in Muscat, in Nizwa, in Sahar, those days was something huge. Okay, so we had the advantage whenever we brought a brand to Oman or a product to Oman, easy to distribute. Today, if you start thinking it's going to cost me so much to make an office in Muscat and another in thing, but you're thinking a little different because that office is not going to make you money. What you need is a warehouse and a little office in a warehouse. The same thing in a depot in Nizwa, Sur, Salalah. You do not need a brand new office with the best furniture and the luxury. No, this is not the way you do business. You have to start with only the basics, what the business needs. You cannot go with luxury and say, I'm going to have the best looking furniture, I'm going to have the best. No, that's not how it's. When you've been there and done that and you achieve something, then think about luxury. But until then, it's about core, what's important, what will run the business and what will not. Chair will not run the business.
True. These young entrepreneurs in Oman, they always think, I will have a receptionist, I will have an office, I will have a nice place, a furniture, everything. Then I will think of the business.
No.
Because they seek the prestige before the being pragmatic, being practical, being efficient. So it's always, we need an appeal to start a business. Because if I have 1,000 riyal salary from a government job, very cushiony, work 8 hours, not much load going on, and I receive that 1,000 riyal, it becomes a comfort zone for me not to think of going to a business. But when you start a business, you think, I need that luxury from my government job to make it transferable to my own business. That is a mistake from entrepreneurs. They shouldn't do that. See, you're established and you think the same. You should have a business, an established institute, that a company that makes actual money. Then you think of the not necessities like furniture.
And the funny thing is, today as Kيمجي Ramadas, if you look at it, where is our head office? Head office is still in Matra. MBD, old MBD in Matra. Okay, next to Oman House.
Oh, yes.
Old Matra Street,
Yes,
towards the souk.
Yes.
We have not moved our head office. Why? Because it's expensive. Simple. Why do we need a fancy head office? It's not going to make money. That office doesn't do anything except has a space for us to sit. There is the finance department, there is the legal department, there is the HR department, there is the PR department, all that sitting in that office. But nobody comes to visit that office because there is nothing to sell there. So why do you want to have a spanking new, brand new office with the latest technology and all this if it's not going to make money? Put beautiful showrooms,
Yes.
put retail outlets, put restaurants. That makes money.
Yes.
You don't need to be sitting in a fancy office. Even if you are, nobody's going to see it because why would you like anyone to see your office?
True.
Now everything is online as it is. So my office today is 3 days a week from home and 2 days a week or 3 days a week from Matra.
Since the pandemic, my office is a coffee shop.
Yeah, well, this is what I mean. So today we have the luxury of being anywhere in the world, whether you are in the Dakhaliya, sitting inside your own family home, you can be running any business you want. So this is an amazing opportunity for young Omanis. You can be sitting here and doing business with the rest of the world. Stop thinking that your market is only Oman.
Yes.
You have to start thinking that your market is the globe.
Beautiful.
This is it.
Beautiful. Exactly. People think of local purchasing power. They always complain it's weaker, specifically now after the pandemic hits. There is high inflation rate. Globally is 8.4%. And usually the increase in salaries is not that much. Even if there is a small amount, it will not reach that 8.4%. So when you think locally, you think of these small elements, you miss up the big picture, which is there is a whole world for you to deal with, either online, either you visit them or send them an email or whatever you can do. You don't have to be physically in that country or in that company. You can do any kind of work from anywhere. Specifically now, as an example, digital marketing. I outsourced my marketing to some person in Malaysia. Excellent guy. He works relentlessly. 20 hours a day, I think he works. I don't think he sleeps at all.
That's amazing.
He designs posters. He designs videos for me. He works every day. And it's very good. You should utilize the world for you to serve in your business and your benefit. Be more efficient. Be more practical. Don't restrict yourself geographically to Oman. That's a mistake.
It's funny how in the past we were global. As a country, we were an empire. We had people traveling from China and doing trade with China and India and Africa and everywhere. Today, we're only stuck again with Oman. It's good and bad. We have been, the luxury was oil. Okay, that spoiled us.
True.
Gave us lots of luxury,
True.
but it also spoiled us about work ethic. We became lazy, easy money, this is the thing. Our generation got spoiled. I think now is the time to change.
True.
Now we cannot depend on oil. We have to start depending on our entrepreneurship.
True.
Go back to your roots and see what your ancestors used to do and how they used to trade with the rest of the world.
True.
Today, what do people buy? They don't buy what you used to buy before. Today, it's all about tech. It's all about the metaverse. It's all about, globalization. It's all about that. You could be sitting anywhere in the world. Just get the skills and do what the rest of the world is doing. Maybe you'll be better.
True. And there's new trends every day.
It's amazing.
You can keep up with them. And one of the things that I want to ask you, Nalish, how can Kيمجي Ramadas Group be consistent with intercontinental relationship around the world? You have in Europe, you have in Americas, you have in India, you have everywhere a place to sell off one of your merchandise or a relationship or a service, and your employees are roughly 5,000. How do you do this specifically? What is the methodology for you to run such a great company?
No, so so number one, first of all, let me clarify. Kيمجي Ramadas only sells in Oman. We have started expanding into UAE, India, and Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, okay.
Okay, these are the countries that we sell it to. We have relationships with everyone around the world because it's their brand that we bring to these countries. So that's how we have built a relationship with all these countries. We do not sell anything to them. We only bring them to Oman or UAE or India or Saudi, and we distribute those products in these
partners.
countries.
Yeah, business partners.
These are our business partners.
Yes.
In terms of
how do you break it
5,000
down?
people?
Yeah, 5,000 people. It's
5,000. Actually, we have more than 5,000. We have like 6,000 something now. If you include all the employees from all the other regions as well that we have set up offices in. So Oman is the largest. Our business is the oldest here as well. The rest of the countries are growing and growing very fast because of just sheer population.
Yes.
Employing
Saudi Arabia.
5,000 employees in Oman is like employing 5 people in India, for example,
Yes.
in terms of the scale. Okay, so this is how population works. Saudi Arabia is 10 times our population. You know. So what I'm trying to say is, do not depend on what Oman can give you all your life. You have to start looking global. You cannot always depend on oil and this income. You have to think on how to help the country's economy grow and become global. That's the best way you can add value. Bring more back to Oman in that way.
Pre-discovery of oil, we used to be more efficient. We used to travel, we get business, get spices, go to Africa, go to India, get merchandise, sell it off here. But with oil comes some sort of what do you call it?
Luxury.
Comfort
And luxury.
Easy.
That's what's made it little bit slow.
And the thing about oil, it's not consistent. Today
hunger died.
Today is $10. Tomorrow is $100. So it's either it's fragile. It breaks down very easy. An economy cannot depend on that. Either way, we always try to diversify our income. Okay, let's diversify our own personal sources of income. If I make money from real estate, I should make money from retail. I should make money from car services or parts or consultation or whatever. We cannot depend on one source of income personally. How can we depend on one source of income as a country? We should always think of diversity. And depending on oil is a dangerous thing because it makes you forget there are other stuff to do. You cannot focus on industry or tourism or service or other parts that are key to a development of a nation if we just focus on oil.
See, that's funny thing is that God has always taken something and given something. They've taken away from us as Omanis
good weather,
greenery. What has they given us? Oil. So don't complain too much.
Yes.
The funny thing is, when it comes to green energy, and when you're talking about alternative energy, sun is what's required. Whether you're going to make solar, whether you're going to make hydrogen, whether you're going to make even wind. We're pretty good at that too. So what I'm saying is, funny thing, around the world, wherever there was oil is the best place to make solar, hydrogen thing. So God has always gifted us with this. So now that we have oil is finite, it's going to run out in a few years. What is going to be next? Start thinking about that. Hydrogen. Solar,
there's
you
a
could
study,
make it at home.
There's a study in that Shell Petroleum have done. They said we've reached peak demand of oil in 2017, and from there on forward, it will just go down and down and down. Even though now there is $100 per barrel, because there is some issues going on, but the demand did not increase. So they expect that within 20 to 30 years,
the demand of oil will reduce, but the demand of energy will increase.
Yes.
So that's the advantage that we have. And we live in a country which has abundance of energy. And it doesn't have to be oil. It can be so many other things. We also have the luck, and God is very kind, that is given us geographical advantage.
Alhamdulillah. True.
Over our neighbors. What a location that we have. This is the place where We can do logistics. This is going back to Vision 2040 again. Okay, the number one location for east to west in terms of what we can do with global trade. When it comes to fiber, optical fiber, I mean, I'm talking about data, internet, the best location to have transfer of data. When it comes to
you mean the intercontinental cables? They connect them through
all go through
the sea.
Use the internet. IT, I'm saying IT is the future. If that's the thing, this is the best place to develop it.
You know, Isle of Man in the UK, their main business is what? Satellite.
Exactly.
Satellite. You can just focus on one thing and be good at it. Luxembourg, main business is what? Dental equipment. Dental, specific, very specific. They require high level of skill. So you can pay well and get paid and pay your business or your government through taxes. So there are specific skills that are required always. I have this one program that I'm part of to prepare me for a senior or top level executive position called اعتماد. They always tell us within whatever course that you take, data is the new oil. Data is the new oil. So whatever you think oil is, data is the next step forward. So we strayed a little bit from the thing that I want to ask you, Nalish. So you're very lucky with the pedigree that you carry for Kيمجي Ramadas Group. 150 years behind your back. Now your son will take the mantle, as they say. What do you think the next 100 years will look for? In Kيمجي Ramadas Group specifically.
You know,
I wish we all live 100 years extra on top of us, inshallah.
You know, the thing what we discussed about before, that the generation 1 builds it, generation 2 preserves it, generation 3 destroys it.
Yes.
Okay, that's the very old thing. But we were very lucky in that sense because we changed our mindset from being family run to being family owned. We are no longer run by family. We do not expect family to run the day-to-day business because it was very easy to hire family, but it's extremely difficult to fire family.
True. Out of experience, I know that. Yes.
So I'm sure everybody, I touched a lot of nerves here, but I'm sure they all understand what I'm coming from. It's much easier to hire skill than to develop it. Okay, it's cheaper because the mistakes that you can make when you don't have the skill is much more expensive than the cost of hiring good skill. This is simple. What we've done in Kيمجي Ramadas today, when we have 6,000 employees plus, and we only have 5 shareholders. And maybe if you add all the small next generation children and everything, will be maximum 20. Okay, 20 people.
This is not counting your joint ventures with the other.
No. This is only the family, Kيمجي family, that's going to be part of Kيمجي Ramadas. It's going to be like 20 of us. So, I mean, 20 people cannot make a decision. First of all, it'll really slow us down. Secondly, not all 20 are business minded. Okay. Their skills are different. Everybody has different skills. One person is very great at art. One person is great at cooking. One person is great at,
math, academia, medicine.
Sewing. I don't know. But it doesn't have to be always business.
True.
Math. A good mathematician doesn't mean he's a good businessman.
True.
So this is what I'm saying. What we've done now is we've, in a way, inculcated mindset in the family business that the next generation and the current generation are not getting employment in Kيمجي Ramadas. They're not salaried employees of the business. They are shareholders of the business or they're on the board, but they're only there on pro bono. They don't get paid. They get to sit and make the correct decisions from the top and help the non-family CEOs, COOs, general managers, all that to invest or not to invest in this business or the other business. We are the bank. I have this much money. Who should I give it to? This business will give me this much return. This business idea will give me this much return. This business will give me... I'll go with the one which gives me the best return. Everything is not about money. That's why we have things like ishraka, things. This is also something that the family should decide. We're going to make X amount of money this year. Should we put everything in our pocket? Or should we expand the business? Or should we give some to charity? This is how every decision is made. And it happens easier with family business because you don't have shareholders to report to. You don't have to worry about a quarter on quarter,
dividend, or you have to make the decision, the chairman, the CEO.
Stock price up and down. We don't have to worry about these things. So last 2 years during the pandemic, we didn't hire anyone, we didn't fire anyone, we didn't reduce anyone's salary. What we did is we decided we're not going to take any dividends. The shareholders decided we don't want to take any profits from the business, reinvest it into the company, make sure nobody's fired and nobody's salary is deducted.
How did I know that your company will continue another 100 years, Nalish? Is when I saw your family members, maybe she was your cousin or your sister, I'm not sure. I saw her video. She's speaking to the employees out of passion, out of jealousy. She wants their goodwill. She wants their benefit. During a pandemic, everybody was locked in. Everybody was scared. You know what we thought? We thought the virus will actually kill us. And when I saw your family members, she was your cousin, I think. She was talking to the employees, telling them, we'll take care of you. This is a difficult time and we will sail through it. I knew from then that this company will continue 100 years. The same methodology of management will continue. This company will last another 100 years. That's what makes your company such a great, unique, you can call it a unicorn. I don't think there is such thing as Kيمجي Ramadas, another one in Oman. With rich pedigree, with resiliency, with people motivated to continue for another generation. I was talking to my brother yesterday. I told him, if you give me $1 billion today, tomorrow I can go to Dubai and spend it. I can find a way to spend $1 billion. It's very easy to spend money. The hard way is to make money. Now there are boats worth billions. There are states worth hundreds of millions. There are things that you can buy with billions. You can imagine how easy is it to lose the money, while how hard is it to make money.
Correct.
Very difficult. It's very, very difficult, specifically with these challenging times that we are going through. So you talked about, you've told us about Ishraka. This is your division of corporate social responsibility. What did it do?
So exactly? In Kيمجي Ramadas, there is 2 businesses that we do not enter for profit: health and education. And this we believe is only for charity. You cannot make money on educating people, and you cannot make money on treating people, making them healthy. So this is not new. This is 4th, 5th generation of thing. We've never invested in schools or hospitals. We've only given to help people for those reasons. So when we started Ishraka, this was maybe 6-7 years ago, the whole issue at that time was that you are helping people. It's number one, you're not focused on how you're doing it. Number 2, nobody hears about it. What are you doing? What have you done for your country? I mean, we've done a lot, but we've never spoken about it. It's the old Omani way. We keep quiet. I'm doing it between me and God.
Our Prophet says, if you do something, don't tell your right hand about what you did with your left hand.
But today, in the day of social media, if you don't do anything, if you're not talking about it, means you're not doing it. And if it's not on the news, means it's not happening. So this is unfortunately a different mindset. So here comes Ishraka, and what we decided is we will set up an organization or a structure, run it like a proper business, not for money, not to make money, but to structure in such a way that it does everything in a proper way. there's structure, there is plans, there is ambition and goals and vision about what it should be doing. So we decided we're going to make 4 pillars, education and health being the ones which we don't invest in. Here, we will invest it in these 2 pillars, and we will give back to the people if there is any profits. Number 3 is social development. Number 4 is women empowerment. So we went into these 3-4 pillars. Health. So what we did is we went to wilayat. We started in the early days at Samail. Then we went to Izki, Bidbid. We went to Bidiya. Now we're going to Barkat al-Moz. So one by one wilayats at a time. So in those wilayats, there is maybe 30 schools, 4 or 5 clinics and hospitals, a few majlises, few mosques. And there's a women's empowerment center.
جمعية المرأة العمانية.
Yeah, and then there is sometimes children with special needs or something like that. We would go to the wali of that wilayat, and we'd sit with him and tell him, please, if you don't mind, call the head of education, the head of health, the head of social development, head of thing. Let's have a meeting. We have a meeting. We talk about what the schools need, what the hospitals need, what this thing. Can you please put it all on a structure? We would like to do something for all of you, but after the year or 2 after finishing with your wilayat, we're going to move to the next wilayat, because we don't have unlimited funds. We only have this much money. We would like to make an impact. And if we try to do it for all Oman at the same time with the amount of money we have, it'll look like 1 riyal per person. It's a joke, So what we'll decide is, let's focus on a wilayat. You can do more in one place. True. Rather than trying to do for everyone. True. Okay. So you learn to say no for the others. This is a very difficult thing. True. To say yes is very easy. To say no is very difficult. So if you can get the art of saying no, number 1, you can do a lot in your life. So we started at the wilayat, and you go into the school and you go to the school headmaster and say, okay, what do you need permanent that I can do for you? Yep. So I'll give you a choice. You want smart TVs? You want a CCTV? Do you want smart boards? Do you want a covered shade for a playground?
ACs?
Anything like this. Yeah. Would you like something like this for your school that you don't have? So a lot of them chose smart TVs. A lot of them chose CCTVs so that they can monitor all the classrooms. The principal can monitor all the classrooms. No need to move around. That way, play shades, a lot of them. So every school would choose something. Then we used to go into the clinics and we say, what would you like? Is there something missing that has not been able, or you're something broken that you need to replace, or this and that? And government is doing a lot, but it cannot do everything. And every clinic that they've built in Oman is getting old, needs maintenance, needs new equipment. Technology has changed everything. They cannot do it every year at the same time for everyone. It'll be one at a time. So we decided, choose what you like. They would give us a list. I want this machine. I want this for this small children. I want this for the heart patients. This for the sonography for the pregnant women. So we used to think and make a list, and we'd give equipment. We never give cash. We only give in kind. I remember at the time we were working with the children with hearing disability, and they wanted the school for the blind, and they wanted braille machines. And I remember that they told us that we want 20 machines, and this is our supplier, and he would charge us so much, and we would get these machines. I'm like, how many kids do you have? We have 50. But how do you want only 20? He says, no, because they're expensive. We only want this many. We will share it. So, okay. I look at the price that he's charging. I call up my medical department and I say, look, this is the charge they're making. They're asking for this much. Can you get me a better price for the same machine? Not only that they got better price, But it was so much cheaper. Instead of making 20 machines supply, I gave them like 30 machines.
Wow.
This is just an example. I can't remember exact
Yeah.
numbers, but we give more with the same amount we were ready to spend. You know, so this is how we're looking at things. We never give in cash. We only give in kind, because sometimes cash is not used the right way, or it's misspent.
True.
You know, even
Because
a small example.
From a business point of view, you always manage better
Yes.
with products instead of.
We have economies of scale.
Yes, true.
Yeah, I can negotiate a better price when I have that. So anyway, so this is number 2 pillar. Number 3 pillar is social development with children for special needs, with women empowerment, with all these centers, Mejlises, you know, all that. Whatever they need, we would give. When it comes to Ministry of Awqaf, the mosque needs ACs, carpet, this, that. We would help with that. Paint sometimes, you know, this kind of stuff. So we'd go by that wilayat. When we finish, we go to the next wilayat. We finish that, we go to the next. So this is how we're slowly building momentum.
What is the best field to invest in Oman? You know, the young entrepreneurs now. Oman, thankfully, alhamdulillah, since the pandemic hit, people are always thinking of diversifying their income. They are thinking how to become entrepreneurs. What do you think is the place they should invest in the coming future?
See, in Oman, I mean, look, one thing that I forgot to mention about is STEM zone. I don't know if you've seen this science technology center that we've set up in the Children's Museum.
Yes.
Okay, so STEM zone, the reason we did that is very simple. We're looking at long term and the future. Our children today need to become globally employable, not just Oman centric. You know, we want to look at our children being employed by the IBMs, by the Apples, by the, you know, these kind of companies. What are they missing? They're missing the technology education, the scientific brain. They need to develop that part of their muscle in the brain. Okay. At the moment, we're only teaching about regular stuff. The old way of schooling is gone. It's all about technology today. And you need to have them updated with what's required around the world. Robotics, chip making,
app development.
Robot, coding, all that stuff. This is the future. This is what your children need. So this is the center that we've set up, and we're giving it for free for Ministry of Education to bring in children from all around Oman, find out who's our best brain in Oman, develop them, take them to around the world, educate them, bring them back into the country, and change the way we do things. This is the future. This is number one. Number 2, the most beautiful thing that we have is our country.
Yes.
The tourism potential in this country is second to none. And tourism is the number 1 employer in the world, because it hits all from the grassroots up to the top. You can do make carpets, Omani carpets. You could make your in Bahla the pots.
Yes.
You can do whatever from wherever you are from your home, and these tourists will buy as long as our country is ready and open to tourism. We need to develop tourism more and more. We need to have more global companies come in and set up base here in order to export because of our location. And when I talk to you about one of the strategic locations of the world, production, export, whether it's energy, whether it's now the Chinese are building buses, I believe, in Dokum. So there's a lot of opportunity to export.
It's a Qatari investment, I think.
Yeah. Yes, correct. Qatari.
So you're hopeful regarding technology and tourism in Oman. You think they are the proper investment field that they should focus on as an entrepreneurs. You know, most of the people listening to this podcast or watching this podcast are below 30. They are young. They're just freshly graduated. They worked somewhere. They want to get married. They want to do diversifying their income. So I always advise them not to start big. Start small. if you can start a business through social media, either Instagram, WhatsApp,
Correct.
Twitter, instead of just investing immediately to a restaurant costing 100,000 riyals or 50,000 riyal in a workshop.
I went the other day to Amirat, and I saw in a street maybe 20 caravans, all selling burger. Where's the IP? How is your burger better than the third caravan's burger? You know, come on. We need to think out of the box. Why do we have to cut and paste? Let's do things that others have not done.
True.
You need to differentiate yourself. That's marketing. And secondly, skill development. It doesn't have to be going to school. You can be sitting on YouTube and learning a skill. It's from home. It's so cheap. It's free, actually. What cheap? It's free. Learn a skill. Get a degree. Get whatever you want. Education is the future. You don't get educated, you don't develop your own self, then what are you living for? You need to be good at something. Even tourism, you cannot just set up a tourist shop. You need to learn how to do it. Learn online how to run a tourist, I don't know, in Italy they call agrotourism or in France. But basically, in all the wilayats, all the interiors, all these wadis and all that, people are turning homes into hotels, restaurants. Unbelievable. I love it.
Bed and breakfast.
Bed and breakfast, everything. But their skill needs to be developed. Are we there yet? No, there's a lot more to be done. We still have a lot of education that is required to develop that skill, but you don't have to wait for it to come to you. You can sit at home and do it. So this is what I'm thinking is, if manufacturing, if export, if
tourism,
alternative energy, tourism, all this can be taught sitting at home. How to excel in it. This is what I'm trying to say. I mean, you don't wait for somebody to teach you.
We are going the right path. It was this comfortable zone that we're sitting on called oil. Now I think it's
40 years is enough.
We are moving forward from that comfort. We need to be more resilient. We need to be stronger. We need to be more effective in participating in our community and in our economy. It's going slow, I have to admit, business-wise. But we look to be more efficient, faster. We need to catch up with the rest of the world. And I think we have the best gym in the Gulf. I really, truly believe so. Either it's in logistics,
100%.
Either it's in tourism, either it's manufacturing. We have the hardest working people. I believe so. I'm Omani, you're Omani.
No, 100%.
I truly
100%.
believe so. We work in every field. We have farmers, we have carpenters, we have people who work with steel, people work in the oil field for 1 month straight. So I'm
the best tour guides. Don't forget.
Guides.
Nobody can sell their country than the Omanis themselves.
صحيح.
Okay, so this is very important to know.
Nalish, really thank you for this fantastic interview. I'm really proud that we had this interview. Muad, you want to say something?
I was very excited. Only today I was a listener. I didn't say anything.
I feel I have more cash now. I don't know how. Really, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I hope I added value.
You did. You definitely did. Are you on Twitter, Nalish? Is it public or is it private?
No, it's public. It's Nalish Kimji.
Nalish,
one word.
Nalish Kimji in Twitter.
Yeah.
Any other social media they want to promote?
That's it.
That's it. So if you want to contact Nalish through his social media, it's in Twitter at Nalish Kimji. We can keep it on the description down. Thank you Nalish. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
معكم كان عبدالله الهنائي ومعاذ هشام. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا جزيلا.